Yo and hello everybody, Mike here, baseball collector. That's Jake, Legends Never Die. That's Frank down below.
I'm here.
He's here. We may have some other folks joining in that are Hall of Fame aficionados as well. We are 15 minutes away, guys. Probably really more like 20, but from the Hall of Fame announcement. And it's a great day for me. One of my favorite Rangers of all time is going to walk into the Hall of Fame. And Frank will be back in a minute. And it's going to be Adrian Beltre. Do you think Adrian Beltre is a no-doubter Hall of Famer, Jake?
100%, man. 3,000 hit club. I mean, that's one of the magic numbers in baseball that I believe still matters. And he could be one of the last next to Ichiro next year and the guys we just saw hit it like Miggy. But one of the last guys that we could see with 3,000 hits going in for a while.
Pujols, too.
Yeah, Pujols too. Miggy, Ichiro, Pujols.
Yeah, he's just a no doubter, and it's not surprising to see. My brother's here. So my brother in college, he struck out Todd Helton, so he may get to say he struck out a Hall of Famer if Helton gets in. Frank, what do you think about Beltre? He's the easy one to talk about real quick because he's a no-doubter.
It's 3,000 hits is a magic number. You get that. I mean, drugs drug, whatever aside, you're in. And it should be first ballot like Biggio. I don't know why Biggio even had to wait.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's I've been watching the coverage on MLB Network. It's been going on for now about an hour and a half. Started it really all day, honestly, but in full Hall of Fame mode since 3:00 this afternoon, my time. They're making a lot of cases for some guy. Like, to me, Utley, Rollins is a better case than Utley, right? And Utley's going to be way higher than Jimmy Rollins. There's just all these cases for these fringe guys, and that, I don't know, bothers me. We got an official looking member joining us, our little crew here.
Oh, wow. Serious.
What's up, guys?
What's up, Chris?
Sorry, still evoking some justice here.
Invoking some justice. I love it.
Hall of Fame justice? Are you road commissioner like on MLB Network?
I'm in the room with the sealed envelopes.
I love it. Chris, we were talking about Adrian Beltre because he's the easiest no-doubter. What do you think about
Sorry.
Oh, there's Frank again. What do you think about Beltre?
Well, I don't think it's any secret. He's my favorite player of all time. Like Mike, I'm a Texas Rangers fan, and I've had great experiences. I can't say that I really loved him until I had the opportunity to really watch him play on a daily basis. He's everything that's good about baseball. He had fun with the game, strong glove, strong arm, strong bat, just phenomenal teammate. And I think I've shared, but I've had the opportunity to meet him. And my oldest son was wearing an Adrian Beltre jersey when we met him. And he was so kind to us. He kept feeding us batting practice baseballs. Over 20. It was crazy. Talked with us, laughed with us. So to me, top 5 third baseman of all time, no doubter. And I'm really interested to see how he goes into the Hall of Fame, if he's going to choose an emblem or a team logo or not. I think of him as a Ranger. I think he really built his Hall of Fame charge, beginning as a Red Sox, but ending as a Ranger.
Yeah, he really made it in his 30s. Honestly, like, he was a good player, but he started hitting that stride in his 30s with Gold Gloves, and he went to the Rangers World Series in 2011. And
let me ask you, Mike, as a Rangers fan. I know where I was back then. Did you think Beltre would even be a Hall of Famer when he came to Texas?
No, I was excited we got him, but I was more sad we lost Vladimir Guerrero, at the time. Frank,
I didn't think he would be a Hall of Famer, and I'm pleasantly surprised about how well he put together several seasons there. 5 or 6.
6.
Yeah.
Played 6 years with us. I think he's going in as a Ranger, honestly. But I like this one. Wagner should be in. I made the case before we got on live here, and I'll ask you guys your opinion. If you had to choose between Gary Sheffield and Billy Wagner, these are two guys that are the closest right now, one just above, one just below. Who should be a Hall of Famer? Chris, start with you.
Well, I'm going Gary Sheffield, partly because this is the last year on the ballot, and I think Wagner, if he doesn't squeak in this year, finally makes it next year. But that's the swing. 500 plus home runs. He also won a World Series championship, which to me, is the worst. I think it was Evan Grant from the Dallas Morning News who I read said that he only holds postseason. He only applies postseason in a plus column, essentially, on behalf of Hall of Famers. He never holds it against a potential Hall of Famer how they performed in the postseason. And I think Billy Wagner's, unfortunately for Mr. Wagner, his postseason was horrific. So I got to give the edge, just me personally, to Sheffield for his bat, his World Series championship, his swagger, all those things combined.
Jake?
I would definitely take Sheffield. 500 plus home runs, magic number. Whether you believe it's tainted or not, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But he also had 1,500 plus runs, 1,500 plus RBIs, over 2,500 hits, a career on-base percentage just under 400, 393. And he's one of three players I modeled my own batting stance after with that. The bat speed. Who didn't love Sheffield's batting stance, right? That was memorable in itself.
He swung so violently. It was amazing.
He was fun to watch. His tenure in Atlanta was short, but I loved him while he was there.
He was also a Tiger, which makes him near and dear maybe to Frank's heart. Would you take Wagner or Sheffield?
I would take Sheffield for numerous reasons. John Thorne says if you have to think whether or not a player is a Hall of Famer or not, he's probably not a Hall of Famer. I never really thought, again, I live in American League City, that Wagner was a Hall of Famer. I remember when the Tigers signed Sheffield, I'm like, they just signed a future Hall of Famer. Granted, it was past his prime, but even when Dave Nabrowski had the press conference, they introduced him as future Hall of Famer Gary Sheffield. So, and also it'd be really interesting if he does get in. He's in the Mitchell report. He's in the report. Can you imagine what it does to the floodgates if he gets in, just to everybody else?
Jim Leland was quoted as saying, "There is no one I'd rather go into the Hall of Fame with than Gary Sheffield. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame."
Interesting.
Yes.
He must not know it personally.
I think it would matter even if Sheffield gets 70+% and doesn't get in. I do think that matters.
Okay.
Didn't help Schilling.
I think his road is tough if he doesn't make it today. And
Or maybe.
Say that again, Chris.
He's a 2026er. I think that's when Bonds and probably Sheffield and all those fellas will come back. And that when they're scheduled, I think so.
He would be in a crowded era ballot for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, the road gets harder. We've all shared our ballots, I think, with everyone. I've done a ballot. I've done multiple shows where I voted in my hypothetical ballot. I voted for 8 players, not named Andrew Jones. None of them are named Andrew Jones. I need to hear a case, not from Jake, from one of you two guys, of why Andrew Jones should be in the Hall of Fame.
Well, obviously because he was a Texas Ranger. But my second is, I think I saw this. I think it was Smoltz's Hall of Fame induction speech where he specifically cited Andrew Jones saving him and Maddox and Glavine so many runs. I don't know how true that is. I'm sure someone could run those numbers. But to me, a 10-time Gold Glover at a premium position. And this may be key because I preached to my 11-year-old. Center field is the most important position on the field. You're the boss of everything. You call off people. And he just made it look easy. And we had Griffey at the same time. To me, those are just two of the most prolific defensive center fielders. So to me, 10 Gold Gloves means something. I think he did sacrifice average for power. I mean, he ended up with, if you give him his postseason home runs, right around 450 home runs. And, towards the end, he probably played a little bit too long, where he finished his career with like the White Sox and Yankees, Dodgers. I mean, all kind of the last few years. But to me, the one mark against him is that he never won a championship. He just missed that 95 Braves championship. He came in that next year. But when he did play in the World Series, I think I think it was even his first game in the World Series was against the Yankees when he hit those 2 home runs and really kind of announced himself to the world. So, but that's my case for Andrew Jones.
I'll make it real simple. If he retired 6 years sooner as a Brave, I think he'd already be in. The end. I think he's already in. And someone put that in the comments. I see his last 6 years removes him from the Hall of Fame, and I think I'm looking right now at his baseball reference page. I'm not going to lie, but I just truly feel in my heart of hearts. I mean, his most similar by ages right now at the current age, like right now, would have been Bryce Harper and Eddie Matthews, and those are Hall of Famers. We're not talking about it. So, I mean, I think just the fact that maybe I don't think he should be penalized for playing longer than he did. His peak WAR was so long. And not even a real WAR guy, but like when he was playing as a Brave, I said, this is a future Hall of Famer. This is a future Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad if Jones got in the Hall of Fame. I think I get the defensive thing. Keith Hernandez had more consecutive Gold Gloves than Andrew Jones did. He's not in the Hall of Fame, and nobody's really even talking about that. I mean, my point is, yes, defense matters, and it should be taken into account. But at the same time, there's other guys that just have maybe better defensive resumes, and they're not in. So, and Hernandez was a better offensive player than Andrew Jones. So
I want to get to one thing real quickly. I know the ballots come up soon. The shift of the voters now have changed so much.
Agree.
That they're giving much more weight now to analytics and defense. 20 years ago, Scott Rowland would never be in the Hall of Fame. The fact that Chase Utley, this is just my personal opinion, is tracking where he's tracking with Jimmy Rollins, who's I think has every stat better than Utley, is like far below him. It makes no sense what the new class of Hall of Famers are doing. And I mean, I have no problem with them bringing defense into consideration, but just I don't understand. I just don't understand. Maybe I'm old school in that regard. What do you guys think of the new voter?
I'm with you.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Mike. I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's all right. Only my show. Go ahead.
I'm with you, Frank. I think there's been a drastic shift in more of the qualitative type voting with sabermetrics amongst the new voters. We all follow Ryan Thibodeau's tracker. Per the new voter metrics, a lot of them seem to be the guys that are voting for the Andrew Jones, for the Chase Utley, for those type of guys, where the traditional voters, which typically are the ones that are not made public, are the ones that don't vote for that kind of player. And I agree with you. That may be the thing I'm most shocked about this year is the support that Chase Utley has got on his first ballot. I mean, it has blown my mind.
Yeah, it's a different kind of voter. I'm actually glad to see the kind of more holistic view of a player. I wish it was both, and I hope it's both. I'm a big eye test guy. There are guys that I've watched that I went, yep, absolutely. But I'm also kind of old school. I'm old, so that makes me kind of old school. And so I think when I watched Gary Sheffield, I thought Hall of Famer. When I watched Andrew Jones, I didn't necessarily think it. For sure.
But at times you did, right, Mike?
At times I did. Honestly, no question. He was really good.
What about Chase Utley?
Chase Utley, no. Never thought about him as a Hall of Famer.
Exactly.
Honestly, neither did I think about Jimmy Rollins that way, too.
Fascinating to watch because who's coming up on the ballot in the next few years who's got so very similar career numbers to Utley. Mike knows him. Ian Kinsler.
Yeah. Former Detroit Tiger.
And Texas Ranger. But Mike, I never, as a Tiger, I thought he was a very good player. Never did I think Hall of Famer. I mean, his better years are probably in Texas.
I'm a Kinsler guy. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I think Michael Young is a much better candidate for the Hall of Fame than Ian Kinsler.
Yeah.
And, anyway, we're a minute away? I'm probably a little behind. I've got here's MLB. I'll pull it up. We'll watch it together. Frank, I know you're always like 30 or 45 seconds ahead.
I won't say anything, but yeah. I'm in my office, as you could tell. Like, I'm a CPA, so I had to be from work today.
I gotcha. I think Pete Rose does get announced today. They're going to surprise Pete Rose.
Joe Jack Rose.
You know why Frank gets to know 30 to 45 seconds faster than us? It's the connections that he's got.
Stop.
Yeah, he knows people.
Yeah, he knows people.
Here we go. Let's all watch this together. I'll unmute it. Maybe it'll work. We'll see. Let's find out if this will work. I gotta fix this. Doo-doo-doo.
Baseball occupies a place in our culture and in our own minds. We think we will always remember the icons of the game.
I love these montages. It just makes me so nostalgic.
There's your Ranger.
What's so important to us in that very moment will stay with us forever.
And we'll see you tomorrow.
Herbie.
But the truth is, it doesn't. History can be compressed, distorted, or forgotten. We're fortunate that about a century ago, those who loved baseball understood this. They wanted a place to help us remember how the game was played and who played it best.
Babe Ruth, the Bambino.
Frank, I dare you to turn your TV off and
This
watch it
official
here.
chronicle of
I
history,
am. You know what's
this
funny? You're ahead of me, so I am
Baseball Hall
watching
of
it
Fame,
there.
an actual
Yeah.
place to go
My
see
home,
what
I'd be
used to
ahead. I'm
be,
in my office.
the games, the names.
I'm just curious. What year had the most
Could easily
inductees
just
in terms
drift
of
from
with the
memory.
baseball writers?
1936. The first class.
That was
had
5.
Is it possible that people and
Wow.
feats so grand could ever be forgotten?
We could have 6 today.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's gonna
In
be like
Cooperstown, they'll never be.
Where'd Chris
We
go?
have this place for them,
He didn't want to watch it.
a reason to mention their names and their accomplishments.
Chris had to go
They have
reveal
been
the ballots that
enshrined.
he had.
yeah.
Right. That's right. He's got to take him into the other room.
Only the very best even have a chance to take their place in bronze for all time right here. Today, we find out if greats from the recent generation will be recognized. Names
I hope in a
fresh
year or
our
two
minds
when we're
now.
doing this, we get to celebrate
Don't
Andrew Jones.
I think you will. I
Now.
really think you will.
I do too. I think he's going to get in. Hey, can we talk about tax deductions while we wait? Someone
Will
else
we
to
remember their greatness here in Cooperstown because of Cooperstown?
Have you been there, Jake? Yeah,
There's
you
a
have.
chance we will.
I've been there 4 times.
Frank has the second home there.
I've only been there 3 times.
I think
And
you've
with that,
probably
we bring
been in
you
the archives.
To Cooperstown, you see Evening in Cooperstown. That's where the election
I have
announcement
not.
is coming your way. The 2024
Welcome back, Chris.
Hall of Fame election announcement exclusively
Courthouse
here
Wi-Fi.
on MLB Network. Brian Kenny will be standing by with Josh Rawich, who's the president of the National Baseball Hall of Fame, in moments for the live announcement.
moments.
Greg
In
Anderson,
moments.
Studio 21 with these
Many,
names.
many
Harold Reynolds,
moments.
Tom Verducci, Hall of Fame broadcaster Bob Costas. The tracker is saying a lot of guys are getting support. This is going to be a
So are you and
dramatic
Chris going this
election
summer?
announcement.
When
Well, I love
Beltran
the
get in
fact
or
how
what?
Bob started this whole evening.
Only if Chris pays for it.
And we had a chance for 7 guys to possibly get in. So, Bob, I'm just throwing that back to you, how we
Yeah.
started.
Well, I thought 3 were certain, that it was unlikely we'd get to 6 or 7. We're about to find out.
So many times we've sat here and thought, if someone's elected. Now I think the thought is, how many? The biggest
Yeah,
class was the
that's cool.
first with 5.
Yeah.
Next biggest is 4. Question is, how many?
And you can see why so many guys are getting traction on the Hall of Fame tracker, because there are many notable names on this Hall of Fame ballot. We
And
began
how about Ryan
with Gary
Thibodeau
Sheffield,
making a
who's in
name
the
for
final
himself
year
by
of this
creating the
writer's
tracker?
ballot, looking to become the 8th player elected in
Edgar
the final year
Martinez
of
credited
eligibility.
him with getting in the
3rd
Hall
fewest
of Fame.
strikeouts of any member
Wow.
of the 500 homer club. Billy Wagner, best K per 9 and opponent's batting average in the live ball era at minimum
I mean,
900 innings.
Ryan
pitched,
Thibodeau
a
also
7-time
inspired my
All-Star
spreadsheet
closer
for the
with
YouTube
over
Sports Card Hall of Fame.
420 career saves, sixth all time.
I thought it was my
Andrew
Excel sheet,
Jones,
Jake.
one of 4 players all time with 10 Gold Gloves
There's
and
your boy,
400 home
Andrew.
runs. Ken Griffey Jr., Willie
Andrew,
Mays,
I'm
Mike
not getting
Schmidt,
in the
the
Hall of
others.
Fame, Jones.
One of the top
Not
defenders
today.
of all time at a premium position like center field. Todd Helton, Rockies franchise icon, franchise leader in just about every
He's getting
offensive
in.
category. He could join Larry Walker as the only Hall of Famers to ever play for the Colorado
Yeah,
Rockies.
we got to do a
Carlos
prediction,
Beltran,
Mike.
one of 5 players all time with 400 or more home runs, 300 more
I
stolen
got
bases.
3. I
One
got
of the great switch hitters
Helton,
and
Mauer,
postseason performers
and
of all
Beltran.
time. OPS over 1,000 in 65 postseason games. That's
Beltran
fourth
should
best
be
all
in too.
time. As
Wagner
for this
missed
guy,
by
a winner, Chase Utley,
I think Wagner
six-time
just missed
All-Star,
it. Like,
clutch
just missed
postseason
it, like
performer,
5 votes or what.
2008 World Series
I think so,
champion,
too.
5 home runs in the 2009 World Series. One of the great
I think
offensive second
next year
basemen,
is
6
Wagner's
most
year.
home runs at that position. Joe Mauer, he owns 3 of the
They just
7
talked about
batting
Utley. All they
titles
talk about is
ever won
postseason
by a
performance,
catcher.
really. I
He won
mean,
the MVP in 2009. Remains the highest single-year average by anyone.
Utley's not
since
even going to get.
Ichiro
He
in
may get
2004 when he hit
40%. Would be my
365.
guess.
the problem is he
And the
starts
third
so
baseman,
high.
Adrian
He'll get it.
Beltre, one
Reminds
of
me
2
of Scott
infielders
Rowland.
ever with 3,000 hits,
Way
5
higher
Gold
than I
Gloves,
expected
joining
him to start.
Derek
Way
Jeter,
higher.
3rd most home runs.
Hey, do you
as
know
a
how many
third
players
baseman.
have
Schmidt, Eddie
450
Matthews, only
homers, 3,000 hits, and more than 4 Gold Gloves?
Games at the hot corner.
2.
But of
Beltre
all
and
these
Mays.
guys, those
That's
notable names,
Well, I mean,
I know
there's
Sheffield's in the
no
final
question
year
Mays
of
is Mays.
eligibility.
Beltran's
Who
going
do
to
you
get
think,
in.
Tom,
We're not
is
arguing.
maybe the most polarizing in terms of some people are on the fence going, I don't know if this guy's a Hall of Famer and could get in as a first ballot guy.
For me, it's been Joe Mauer, and I'm surprised people are even on the fence. He's one of the best hitting catchers of all time, a hitting savant. You look at these numbers here. There's only been about 150 players who have caught 900 major league games, and Joe Mauer's OPS is the 3rd best ever. As far as batting average, yeah, maybe you don't care about it as much. You mentioned it, 3 batting titles, and he's among the best ever in terms of players who had at least 40% of their games behind the plate. The 3rd.
So do all of you have all the
batting
autographs
average
already, or you need to
ever.
get them?
That is a Hall of Famer. What I love
If
about
Wagner
Joe
gets
Mauer
in, I don't have him.
is the singular nature of that swing. Remember this? That's the Joe Mauer quick swing. He actually was selling these, but it was something he used as a kid. His dad invented that thing to really invent one of the shortest, flattest, quickest strokes you will ever see. Look how connected he is here.
I got a feeling we
Justin
got a
Morneau
while,
said
Mike.
that
What do you think?
yesterday. Never saw this guy
I'm
off
wondering.
balance more than
I think
1,500
they'll
major
finish
league games. I
going
never
through a
saw
couple
Joe
more
Mauer
guys, and
off
then
balance.
off
This
we
swing
go.
is just so connected. He can essentially hit the ball out of
Bill's
the
too
catcher's
good to
glove because he
be here
kept
with
those
us, but
hands
thank you
in
for
and then
tuning in,
extended
Bill.
through the baseball like nobody I've ever seen. Remember when he won the MVP? I went back and looked at the outs that he made. Look
Beltre
at right
only.
field, folks. He's a left-handed hitter. He
He's
flew out
wrong.
to right field to the right fielder twice the entire season because he just smacked balls up the middle
Got
the other way. You
150
could
people
not
watching
beat Joe
this.
Mauer,
That's
even trying to
crazy.
beat him in.
That's awesome.
And that leads me to my
A lot of
favorite
people
breakout.
love the Hall of Fame.
Going up against a future Hall of Famer, Max Scherzer.
I heard on
Joe
some
Mauer
channel, I don't
owned
remember what
Max Scherzer.
channel
There's
it
a
was.
changeup down the
They
way,
were
he just
wondering if
flips it
the
out the
Hall of
other
Fame
way.
was
So
dead
Scherzer
in the
said, you know
hobby.
what? This guy
Who
wants
was
to hit
that?
it the other way. I'm going to
That was
pound
me.
it in.
I
Look
know.
what he does with this. With power the other way.
Apparently
Scherzer's
not.
giving up. You know how stubborn he is.
It's a
He's
fun
going to
day.
continue to make Joe Mauer try
I
to
love Hall
pull
of Fame
baseball. Not even all
Who
the
did I
way
say
in.
I'd
He
vote
still
for?
lines a base hit up the middle. Scherzer's
Mauer,
not done
Helton,
yet. He's going to be
Beltre,
banging his head
Beltran,
against the wall here because fastball down and in,
Sheffield,
carts it out
Wagner.
the other way. So finally, this is years into their matchups. Scherzer
Andrew
comes up
Jones.
with this. This is 2014. He's got 2 strikes on Joe Mauer. He's never struck him out
Can't remember
swinging.
who else.
What the heck was that? You know what that was?
Ramirez
That's a cut
and,
fastball that Max Scherzer
A-Rod, for sure,
invented
for me.
specifically
There's
to
no doubt.
try to get Joe Mauer to swing and miss. And he is still throwing that pitch 10 years
If
later.
Mauer gets
That's how
in,
good Joe
what do
Mauer
you guys
was.
think that does to the
Well, you
candidacy
said
for
that's amazing. That's
Molina and
amazing
Posey?
stuff. I love that. You said batting average. You know, a lot of people
I think
don't
they're
believe
both
in that.
eventual Hall of
Look, that's
Famers.
when
I
he
think
played.
neither of them are.
You got to
first
judge
ballot
them
Hall
on the
of Famers.
merits of when guys played. Batting
agree.
average mattered. Winning a
Yeah,
batting
thanks
title
again.
mattered.
It should still
The joke.
matter. The black
Yes.
tape that Chris
I'd vote
Russo
for
is always
Molina.
talking about in baseball reference,
I'm
the black
not
tape
sure
means
I'd
you
vote
led
for
the league
Posey.
in that
I'm not
category.
sure.
Yes.
That's why there may be some guys with a higher WAR or OPS who are
I'm
contemporaries.
having
of
trouble
Freddie
hearing
Gray.
you over the
8
feed. I gotta
batting
be honest.
titles.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
want to hear
All right.
anything else. 8 batting titles.
It's
That's
not your
it.
fault.
That's
Are
what
we
listen to them.
comfortable with the fact that if he's
Okay.
elected into the Hall of Fame, only Buck Ewing from the 1800s would have fewer games caught among Hall of Fame catchers.
Buck Ewing.
Buck
He
Ewing
played
was the first
so
Hall of
many
Fame
of his
catcher
career
elected.
games at first base that a large chunk of it, like who is he as a first baseman? He's kind of eerily similar to Sean Casey.
Yeah, but in fairness to Buck Ewing, you had to get to games in a horse and buggy back then. So you couldn't really play 154. So
here's how I slice this with Joe Mauer being a possible first ballot Hall of Famer too. That's the other question on the table. You can't take the gamble to not vote for him, though, right? Because you have so many people you can vote for. Oh, I'll hold him off because somebody. You can't do that gamble. So
that's what happened to Lou Whitaker.
He gets voted for if you have that right to do that, and that's why we may see him as a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I think he's an iconic player.
Yeah.
I don't think, as you said, you don't take the chance. You're going to give the vote to somebody else. You want to vote for someone like Joe Mauer.
Yeah.
Because of the
Blair
story, the
wants to
narrative,
know
the
who's in the
local
Hall of
kid
Fame.
becomes the face of the Minnesota Twins.
Well,
the team
That's
grew up
secondary to the career that he
Greg,
had.
It adds to the fame of this player in the market.
Greg,
Here's the Hall of Fame.
very quickly, to a point you made earlier, when certain guys get in, it helps the case of others, even if it's on the Veterans Committee. If Joe Mauer gets in, that's a good reason to revisit the likes of Don Mattingly and Dave Parker, who in their time, at the peaks of their careers, were in the conversation among the best players in baseball.
No doubt. And among catchers, Jorge Posada is sitting on his couch right now looking at his career, 162 of 24 and 90.
Once on the ballot.
Higher OPS than Joe Mauer, 847.
And he's got 4 World Series rings sitting at home.
Right. Anyway, the arguments will only get even more heated. There'll be celebrations. The live announcement of the Hall of Fame election is coming your way after the break on MLB.
All right. I love the arguing. In fact, that's the funnest thing, is to debate players. And, you know, if Mattingly got in, I wouldn't be mad. If Parker got in, I'd be thrilled because I think he deserves it. You know, I'm a big Hall guy. You're more of a small Hall guy, Jake, right? And I think Frank's kind of in the middle.
I'm a small Hall guy.
A Hall guy. Chris is a big Hall.
Here's the thing also is Hall of Famers don't want more Hall of Famers in the Hall of Fame. Let's be honest. They want to keep this club as exclusive as possible. So I think like the Mattingleys and stuff, why they're not getting in, I mean, they're like, these are new school voters. Mattingly may have gotten in with this new group of voters. Same thing with Dave Parker. Who knows? Or Jorge. Well, I don't think Posada was ever a Hall of Famer, but so it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
Any thoughts right now, Chris? How you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling fine. No, I'm a little worried for Billy Wagner's candidacy, but I think that's who's probably sitting on the fence the most right now. The Thibodeau stuff, that really takes a lot of the drama out of all this, because you can look and you can track. And I think when you look at like the first time voters for a guy like Helton and Billy Wagner actually both did really well among first time voters, which bodes well for their future. I think they, out of the 13 known first time voters, they both had 12 votes, which beside Beltre, who was 13 for 13, I don't know that anybody else was really higher than 75%. And so I think if Wagner doesn't get in today, he should be. There's 2 first ballot Hall of Famers coming on next year in Ichiro and Sabathia, but I think Wagner will get the bump from that year 10 if he doesn't get in today, which I don't think he's going to. I think it's going to be close. I think within 10 votes, but so that's what I'm thinking about right now, Mike. What are you thinking about, Mike?
How close Sheffield gets. I really hoped that he would, and I just watched an interview with him and Harold Reynolds on MLB, and it was phenomenal. And Sheffield vehemently denies ever taking anything illegal. And, you know, you kind of want to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. His production didn't change dramatically. You know, he didn't have this spike or something weird. He was just a consistent guy. So it lends itself to that being true.
I think we're going live.
We're back.
All right, here we go.
Cooperstown, Brian Kenny is standing by, a very special guest for the big announcement. BK, take it away, bud.
Greg, thank you so much. I'm here with Josh Rawitz, the president of the National Baseball Hall of Fame
I want
and
his
Museum.
job.
And Josh, I'll call it the ballot tracking era. It's only been a few years, but we've never had this kind of excitement where we have, anywhere 5 to 7 players hovering near the magic 75%.
Yeah, I think that tells you what kind of ballot we have. I mean, it really is an incredible group of players, and obviously a lot of excitement, a lot of chatter.
I just want
over the
to
last
interview
few
him
months,
like
and,
I did his
It's a
predecessor.
privilege just to be on the ballot,
Yeah.
and we're excited for tonight.
And yet we don't know until right now. Josh, you have the honors. Take it away.
Beltran's going to be first.
Thank you, Brian. Well, on behalf of Hall of Fame Chairman Jane Forbes Clark, our board of directors, and the entire staff here in Cooperstown, as well as Jack O'Connell of the Baseball Writers Association of America, it is my honor to announce the results of the 2024 BBWAA Hall of Fame election. I'd like to thank Mark Moran of Ernst & Young and Mike DeLisi for their assistance in tabulating the final results. And as always, we want to thank all of the writers for their participation. This year's ballot featured 26 candidates with 12 newcomers joining 14 holdovers from the 2023 ballot. In arriving at their individual decisions, the electors took into consideration the following voting criteria: the player's record, playing ability, integrity, sportsmanship, character, and contribution to the team or teams for which they played. Tonight, we are pleased to announce the addition of several new members to the Hall of Fame who will be inducted alongside Jim Leland at our induction ceremony on July 21st at the Clark Sports Center here in Cooperstown. Our first electee was a superstar at the plate and in the field, playing 21 seasons for the Dodgers, Mariners, Red Sox, and Rangers. Today, Adrian Beltre becomes a member of the National Baseball Hall of Fame. One of just 12 players in Major League history with 3,000 hits and 400 homers, he ranks 11th all-time in doubles and 18th all-time in hits with 3,166, the most hits ever by a third baseman. He became the first Dominican Republic native to reach the 3,000 hit mark, and when he retired, he had more hits than any player in Major League history born outside of the United States. Wow. A 4-time All-Star and 4-time Silver Slugger Award winner, he led the majors in homers in 2004 with 48, in doubles in 2010 with 49, and tied for the MLB lead with 199 hits in 2013. An elite defender, he won 5 Gold Glove Awards and 2 Platinum Glove Awards, finishing in the top 10 in his league's MVP voting in 6 different seasons. A beloved teammate and fan favorite, he reached the postseason 5 times, winning the 2011 American League pennant with the Texas Rangers. Adrian Beltre, welcome to Cooperstown.
That's a long introduction.
It was.
Our second member of the class of 2024 played his entire career with one team, his hometown Minnesota Twins. Joe Mauer became the face of the franchise he grew up watching. During his 15-year career, he made 6 All-Star teams,
no Todd
5
Helton,
Silver Slugger Awards, and 3 Gold Gloves behind the plate. In 2006, he became the first catcher to win a batting title in more than 60 years. He would go on to win 2 more in back-to-back seasons in 2008 and 2009. In 2009, he led the major leagues with a .365 batting average and a .444 on-base percentage, and was the American League leader with a .587 slugging percentage, all en route to being named the AL's most valuable player. He topped AL catchers in fielding percentage 3 times and caught stealing percentage twice, ranking 9th all-time with a .995 career fielding mark. On 4 different occasions, he helped his team to the postseason, and tonight he becomes a member of the National Baseball Hall of Fame. Joe Mauer, welcome to Cooperstown.
All right, Joe Mauer.
And our third and final member of the class of 2024 played his entire 17-year career while wearing number 17 for the Colorado Rockies. Today, Todd Helton becomes a member of the National Baseball Hall of Fame.
Wow. You usually do it in alphabetical
order.
order.
All-Star, he batted .316 with 2,519 hits, including 369 home runs and 592 doubles, the 20th best mark of all time, while his career OPS of .953 ranks 23rd in baseball history. A native of Knoxville, Tennessee, he won 3 Gold Glove Awards and 4 Silver Sluggers while taking home the National League batting title in 2000. That year, he batted .372 while leading all major leaguers in doubles, RBI, slugging percentage, OPS, and total bases.
We all called it.
He batted 300 or better in 12 different seasons, including each of his first 10
Bill.
full seasons in the majors from 1998 to 2007. Beginning in 1999, he drove in 100 or more runs 5 consecutive years and hit 30 or more homers in 6 straight seasons. During the final year of that incredible 10-year run, the Todd father led the Rockies to the 2007
He did not
National
just
League
say
pennant,
Todd
batting
father.
333
Todd
in the World
Frazier.
Series.
Going on the
Todd
fly.
Helton, welcome to Cooperstown. And finally, a few words for our audience watching across Latin America. Esta noche habrá una gran fiesta en la República Dominicana, en su hogar en Santo Domingo, y a través de la isla donde nació.
All right, enough of that. Reaction, Chris. First reaction.
Give me a third reaction.
Okay. Frank,
Not surprised.
disappointed?
No, not at all. I think all three of them are deserving Hall of Famers. On paper, absolutely. I think they're all Hall of Famers. So I'd be curious to see when they'll probably give it 5 minutes and they'll announce the voting percentages. I'd be more curious how close Sheffield and Wagner got. I think Wagner will get in next year.
That's why I want to keep they'll show the balloting total.
Correct.
And we won't go too much longer after this.
Can I give a shameless plug?
Yeah.
I'm up for the YouTube Hall of Fame. Please vote for me. Thank you. That's it.
There you go. Shameless plug. Done. Mike, turn it back on. All right, hold on. Let me see what they're talking about. Let's see.
Para su exaltación el 21 de julio.
Still talking Spanish, so
Ryan can interpret for us.
I can, but I don't want to.
Of the National Baseball
All right, here we
Hall
go.
of Fame. Brian?
Wow. Okay. So 3-man class, 2 first ballot. This is exciting. Again, even with all the tracking and everything that we look at, 3 men. Again, 2 first ballot goes in, and we'll have an exciting summer coming up.
It's going to be awesome. And you add in Jim Leland. Truly, this class is going to be very memorable. I think we're going to have a lot of fans coming to Cooperstown. And I think ultimately you saw that these guys absolutely belong here in this plaque gallery.
I also see, as before we send it back to the guys, like it is very difficult to get to 75%. We're going to be poring over the results, and I'm sure some players got fairly close to the 75%. We saw some right there at the precipice, so it is difficult to get in here.
I think that's the point. I mean, ultimately, it is very hard to reach 75%. We want this to be a challenging hall to get into. And ultimately, about 1% of those who have ever put on a uniform actually get into this plaque gallery. So I think that tells you how special it is. And I know when Jane got a chance with Jack to call them, each one of them feels very, very special tonight and will be joining us here in Cooperstown tomorrow.
That's exciting. Yeah, we will see the Hall of Famers here at the Hall of Fame. See you in the summer as well. That's going to be exciting. And we will pour over the ballot and see how close some of those players got. Josh, thank you so much.
Thank you, BK.
All right, Greg, back to you.
BK, thank you, Josh. Terrific work per usual. A historic announcement, a 3-member class voted on by the writers. Billy Wagner, he finished 5 votes short. We're going to
knew it. I said 5 votes or less.
Wow.
First, when you think of the names, Adrian Beltre, Todd Helton, Joe Mauer, in this moment, the first player you're thinking of, who's who?
Congratulations. Adrian Beltre almost got 100%.
In 95.1.
95.1. And I'm thinking, what
That's
Derek
not
Jeter
almost
was
100.
right above him?
Mhm.
Mariano, Jeter.
Wow.
All right. We're not going to go too much longer. Jake, first thoughts or just your initial thoughts?
Like Frank, not surprised with who got in. I really am more interested in seeing where Wagner landed, which now we know he was 5 votes short. But also, guys, like I want to see what Andrew Jones did. I want to see where Beltran went since he was taking a big jump amongst the public votes ahead of this reveal. I want to see where he's at and some of the other guys that'll be tracking in the coming years.
Yeah. I think somebody said in the comments that Beltran was, or Jones was at 61.6. Sheffield was at 64%. All right, Chris, third reaction. You said you wanted third reaction. Go.
Yeah, so I'm not surprised by Joe Mauer at this point, but I'm a little surprised that he made it on his first ballot. And looking, man, it was really close. The Todd Helton, I mean, he spent this is his 6th ballot. So I'm not shocked there. And of course, Adrian Beltre. I think ultimately, if you had asked me to gamble away my savings, who I thought was going to get in right before this started with the help of TiVo's tracker, I would have said those three. The looks like Sheffield, man, he took a pretty big tumble with the unreported ballot, as did Andrew Jones. So those guys have some work to do. Even Beltron down at 57.1%. So those guys have a lot of work to do. It looks to me like there's going to be three guys next year too, between Sabathia, not to get too far out in front of it, Ichiro and I think Wagner will finally get over the hump. So because there's really, out of those guys right there, the big ones coming off, that's four big vote getters coming off if you include Sheffield coming off the ballot. So not shocked. Happy Adrian Beltre and Jim Leland have a little bit of company though.
Well, I do. Utley at 28.8, but to me, that's not as telling as Jimmy Rollins at 14.8. I don't get it, but whatever. My initial reaction is I'm glad there's a 3-person class, all 3 players deserving, in my opinion, and it'll be fun to move stuff around in the old collection and do a bunch of shuffling as we all of us Hall of Fame guys get to do. Thank you to the 200 plus people that were watching during this. And I think we'll let you guys go watch MLB. They'll be interviewing the players. They'll be doing all that fun stuff. And so I want to thank my fellow Hall of Fame crazies, Jake, Frank, Chris. Thanks for coming on here. Hope you enjoyed hanging out. Too bad big game James Shields is not going to be on the ballot anymore. It's a shame, but
I thought Jose Bautista was your guy.
Yeah, right. Go ahead, Jake.
Since there is 200 people in here, if you're eligible to vote for the YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame, I encourage you to put out a ballot, be the positive that it should be, and highlight your peers and have fun with it. I would encourage anybody in here to do that hasn't yet.
Yeah, awesome. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you guys soon. Keep collecting. Hall of Famers.